this is part 2 of putting rough openings into our architectural walls, our house walls. We're going to put in 3 additional windows while we follow along with the YouTube video.
So the nice thing is, so one of the things I can do right now is once I have this hole in here once, is I could take this now and I have the same opening 7 feet over. So I could grab this.
All right, so to get where he's at, first we have to select our model, our walls. So with the selection tool, click on your walls and it should be in a group. You know it's in a group because it's this giant blue outline around it. And we need to get inside the group. To get inside the group, you need to double click on the wall. So when you double click, notice that the blue outline has gone away and you should now have a dashed outline. If you don't have a dashed outline, you need to double click until you do. That allows me to select this wall individually instead of all of them at once. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, click off of everything, and we want to select our first window, our original window. So I'm going to click and drag a selection box to get my window. Click on the move tool. Ours is on the side, and he's going to click on the midpoint right there. So click on the move tool over here on the left, select the midpoint, click, and drag it over. Now you can see it's getting all screwed up. Now actually I can see that I have a line back in the back corner here. I'm going to hit escape. I have this line selected by mistake. Okay, so you got to be careful that when you're selecting this, you don't have anything else selected. I also got, it looks like this line selected. So I'm going to hit the escape key on my keyboard a couple times. Go back to my selection tool, spacebar is the keyboard shortcut. Move it so you can see it almost straight on. And let's draw a window. We want to make sure nothing back here behind the window is blue by mistake, meaning it's selected by mistake. Now I can click back on my move tool, click on my midpoint, and when you move it, it should just be moving your window, not all the stuff behind it. Now, of course, we don't want to move the original. We want to hit on your keyboard the control key. So hit the control key, and it makes a copy. Okay, you can see there's a little plus next to my cursor there.
This option, slide to the right, 7 foot, enter.
Now he says option because he's on a Mac, but we're on a PC. So of course ours is the control key. Then type in 7 foot. You can see in the bottom right corner, distance 7 foot, hit enter. And it just moved from that midpoint, a copy, to this midpoint 7 feet over. Of course we should have done 7 foot 1, it doesn't matter. 7 feet 1, I'm not going to be picky at this point.
And you notice it looks a little different if I turn off my X-ray and see that, yeah, it did copy it over, but it did not punch the hole in the wall.
Okay, so remember to turn off the X-ray mode, we have to go over to the right, click on the sunglasses where it says display. Nope, not sunglasses. Styles. Click on the styles icon. Drop down default styles. And right now we are on X-ray mode. We want to go back to the default style. So click on that. Give it a second to update. You can see what he's saying, that it didn't punch a hole through the wall. So we're going to grab the line tool, which is the little pencil icon.
So pretty easy. I can draw a line here and it will get that for me. Same on the back. Draw a line and then I can just delete that surface out and that surface out.
All right, so let's do this. He drew a line from the top, so click here to there, click, spin around to the back side. I'm holding the shift and middle mouse button to click and drag it, called panning. Click here and click there. Now go to your selection tool, and he doesn't tell you how to do this because he assumes that you already know this. But there's your selection tool. The keyboard shortcut is the space bar. If you hit the space bar, it automatically selects the selection mode. You got to select this face, you know it's selected because of the little dots, and then hit the delete key on your keyboard. It will delete out that surface, and you can click on the one that's kind of on the front and delete out that one. Okay, again, if any of this is confusing or you're having trouble, just rewind the video and watch it again.
And I have my 2 openings here. So that is an option. That is a way you could do this. Totally works, totally fine. It is a way to do it. So I have a couple tips that are going to maybe help out with that. The first one, obviously this was the same window over and over again, or well, over and over again once. So this was the same opening repeated. I may have different sizes. So over here, for example, I have a much bigger window. So this one so this is a 9-foot wide. That is a huge window. So I have a 9-foot wide window. I would assume it's going to be a little bit taller too, so it's probably not the same here. Probably same header height though. Same with doors. I mean, the doors are kind of what's going to set my header height, my opening height. So one of the things I can do is come up with a reference for the top of the opening. So one of the things I can do again is if I was to come in here and I wanted to draw this up, I could reference this point far away to kind of come up to where the top is going to be. So it'd snap there. That would work. But that can get a little bit messy as you're working through here. Something I do see a lot of people do is they grab the tape measure tool, they grab their line, and they pull it up. So if it's 7 feet, 7 foot, enter. That's great. That gets me a reference line right here on the wall that I can snap to. That's awesome. Downside of that, of course, is I have openings on a whole bunch of walls. So that would mean creating a bunch of these reference lines. Not a bad thing, but it is some extra work. So what I want to do is show you a quick tip for setting your top of opening height for your entire model all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here. I'm outside the group. So here's my exterior wall, interior wall group, totally separate. And what I'm going to do now is draw a rectangle on the ground. This is not a precision input thing, just bigger than the model.
Okay, so zoom out so you can see everything. I'm going to close my styles thing. I'm going to pan this over, shift key, middle mouse button, drag it over. Right now we're still inside the exterior wall group. Remember, to get out of that, you just double click outside of it, or you can just click once outside of it. Okay, so we don't want to have those dashed or blue lines. Nothing selected. Nothing selected. I'm not inside any group. Grab the rectangle tool on the left side. Just draw a big rectangle. We don't care about the size, but make sure it covers everything. Okay, so nice big rectangle. Size isn't important right now.
And I'm going to triple click on this geometry, right click, and make it a group.
All right, selection tool, spacebar, or click on the selection tool. You said triple click. Really, we can just select once, only selects the surface. If you double click on it, let me show you. If you double click, I guess I did kind of triple click. Let me see. 1, 2. No, it's a double click. You want everything to be blue. So you want the face selected and the 4 outsides all blue. So everything selected, right click on it, make a group.
All I'm interested in is isolating this geometry. Nothing else to it. So what I'm going to do now is grab it and I'm going to move it vertically. I'm going to hit my up key to lock to that vertical reference, and I'm going to put in my header height. So again, I'm keeping this simple, nice round numbers, 7 feet, enter. All right,
move tool. Keyboard shortcut is the M key for move. It's over here on the left, move right there. Click on, you can really click on anywhere on it. I like to click on the corner. And we want to move it straight up. Straight up would be on the blue axis. One thing you can do is hit the up arrow on your keyboard. So hit the up arrow, and that just locks it in so you know you're going up. Then type in the header height, 7 foot symbol, enter. And that moved it up 7 feet tall.
So what that did was it now created that surface at 7 feet. So if I wanted to, if I came in here and I wanted to draw this opening, I could come in here and click to that intersection and bring my opening down. What's the downside of that? Well, I basically have to wedge myself between my drawing and that reference line. Because if I come up here, I can start my rectangle, but I can't go down unless I flip underneath. So this is not an ideal setup. So there's a couple things I could do. I've had show this to people and they say, well, can you just make it clear, fill it with transparent? You cannot, because transparent materials are still materials. So that surface would still be there. That face would still exist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click into this group. I'm going to select this surface, and then I'm going to right click and say intersect face with model. What that's going to do is...
All right, let's try that. So right now, we're going to go to my selection tool, spacebar, selection tool. He's going to double click inside of this. So you have the dashed lines. Okay, those dashed lines means I'm inside that group I just made. So we can edit it. He's going to click on this surface. See the little dots? You need those. Then right click and intersect faces with model.
Break this surface, not the walls, but this surface every place it hits one of those existing walls. Now what
so what you can see is it made these lines, or it added these lines the whole way around the perimeter of the walls. Okay. Next, grab the eraser tool.
I can do is I can delete these pieces on the outside, and if I look at that, I have this nice sweet line going all the way around for my top of doors and windows, the tops of...
So grab the eraser tool, keyboard shortcut E for eraser, imagine that. It's over here on the left, right there. And you just click and drag over these two lines, delete them, click and drag over these two lines, erase them, and now you have this, which is what he has.
So my openings. So now when I come in here to this group, I can come right here and let's I'll do a rectangle. I'm gonna draw half of it again, and I'll say this is we'll say 4.5 because we know it's 9 foot total, and I will say it's 5 feet tall. And then I'll take...
So 4.5 by 5 feet tall. So zoom in here. I'm going to grab my selection tool and double click outside of everything. Make sure you get nothing selected, no dashed lines. And then we want to click on this wall once, click on this wall, double click on it again, because now we want the dashed lines for the outside walls. Okay, that means we're inside the exterior wall group that we made. Grab the rectangle tool, and since he has a 9 foot wide window, he's going to draw half of that. So half of 9 feet is 4.5. So from the middle, the midpoint, click. He's going to drag out towards this direction, and he's going to go 4.5 feet, comma, 5 foot tall. Okay, so 4.5 foot symbol, comma, 5 feet. Enter. That gives you half of it. Okay, then we're going to grab the selection tool, spacebar, or click on the selection tool. Click on the surface, so as the surface is selected. Click on the move tool or M key for the move tool. Okay, we're going to click on this corner for our endpoint. Again, we don't want to move the original, we want to move a copy. So we tap the control key on the keyboard, hit control, and it moves a copy. We're going to snap the copy right there, click.
That, and option, offset, boom, and then I can...
And of course, then you grab the eraser tool, E key, click and drag to delete that line in the middle. Okay, eraser tool. Push pull tool, P key for push pull. Right there it is. Click on the front window, drag it to the right, and it will kind of go until it hits the back of the wall. Once you're on there, click a second time, and it makes a hole. Okay, if you have trouble with that, rewatch the video, and also Canvas inbox me, but we're going to keep on going and do another last window.
Push that through. So kind of a nice option to speed up the input of your doors and windows. Of course, I didn't delete the inside surfaces, but I could double click in the group, get rid of all of these pieces here too, and that's going to give me those lines on the inside too. I would actually probably want to do that with a separate group on the interiors because I'm going to have probably a different header height than what I have on the outside, but you can see that is a quick and simple way to get that reference in there.
All right, so let's go back to our selection tool, space bar. Okay, right there. Right now we're still in the wall group because the dotted lines are there. So we're going to click outside of it. We're going to click on one of these faces. Now this brings us into that group here. See how it's blue? We want to get inside the group, so double click. And see now they're dashed. That means we're inside the group. You can click on this face individually, hit the delete key on your keyboard, click on this face, delete each one. Make sure you spin around and get anything right there. He has ones in there, but we don't. It's interesting.
So from there, it is a matter of, wherever possible, copying an opening. So one more thing I can do, one more tip before we wrap this up, is duplicating and reusing these openings wherever possible. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into...
Now if you notice, he was trying to select that window, but he was not in the wall group, so he couldn't select it. And that's probably something that you guys are going to have trouble with as you're doing these. We're still in that ceiling reference plane group. Click outside of it, click on the wall, double click on the wall, and now you can see we're inside the wall group, right? Because the dashed lines, and I can select these windows. If you're having trouble selecting the windows, it's probably because you're not in the group. Okay, see how I can't select them? Or you might be in the wrong group. Like if I'm in this group, this is the ceiling group, I can't select them. So you gotta click off, click on the wall, double click on it to activate it, and now you can click on it. All right, so spin this around so you can select the window without getting anything behind it selected.
To my exterior walls, I'm going to grab...
He has his X-ray mode on. Let's do that. So over here on the right, go to styles, not display, but styles, then default styles, X-ray mode right here. Give it a second. Grab your move tool. I already selected it. I still had it selected. Grab the move tool.
Grab this opening right here. I'm going to grab it by...
He actually has this window selected. It doesn't matter because they're both the same, but let's follow along. We're going to deselect, select this window. Oh boy. Again, it doesn't matter which window you have. Grab the move tool. He's going to actually spin it around and grab it from the backside midpoint. So he's going to go from this midpoint right there. Now look, it's moving the wall. But if we hit control, now it's making a copy. We can zoom out and stick that copy onto the front of this. We don't really know where yet, but let's just stick it somewhere kind of in this corner and click.
Middle of this point, hit option, that's going to copy it. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop this right here on this line. I didn't come in and make a reference first, so maybe I'll come in here right now. I'll say 4'2", and that's going to give me a reference point right there.
So we need a reference place so we can move this window into the correct spot. 4 foot 2 inches over from the corner here. So grab the line tool, the pencil looking thing. Make sure you click on the outside corner. Move your mouse towards the left and type in 4 foot 2 inches and enter. Okay, it looks like nothing happened, but there is an endpoint right there now. We can hit the move tool, click on the move tool.
And I can move that again, grab it by the midpoint, and get it lined right up with that point.
Ours looks kind of different, so we're going to grab the midpoint, because that's where this dimension goes. It goes to the middle of this window. So grab the midpoint of the window, and if you move your mouse over, you can find the end point, and then you want to go back straight up, and you kind of want this weird point from outside active message to come up. So I'm still at the same height that I was, but I'm also lining it up from the dot on the bottom. That's 4 foot 2 inches over, and click. To check this, all you got to do is grab your tape measure, click on the corner of the window, drag it over to the edge. Nope. All you got to do is click on the midpoint of the window, because that's where the dimension comes from, and click on the wall. No, doesn't want to. For some reason it's having me click here, then click on here, and I can measure over 4 feet 2 inches. Oh, it's because that line's there. Let's see here. Click on there, drag it over. Why does it say 0? Oh, because it thinks I want to put a line there. I guess we could just go from here to the midpoint, come straight down, and it should be the 4 foot 2 inches.
One of the things I can do at this point, if this is a different size window, so this is a, we'll say this is supposed to be a 2 foot window, what I can do is with this selected, I can scale, I can grab it, option, start sliding it, and say that I want that to be 2 foot and hit enter. What that's going to do is actually resize along there so that now this opening is 2 feet rather than the original 3 feet. So copying and reusing that geometry with scale makes it a lot easier.
Okay, this part's could be a little bit tricky. Let's grab the scale tool. So that's underneath the move tool. So click on the move tool, click on the scale tool, the third one here on the bottom. Okay, I have something selected here. Now I have like a little line over here. So I'm going to grab my selection tool. I must have copied this over when I moved this wall. I can just click on that line, delete it, select this wall. Let's do this again. So select the wall, click on the scale tool. Now you actually have 3 green boxes. You need to click on the middle of the green boxes, and you can see that will move one side. If I hold down the control key on the keyboard, it will do both sides. So I'm holding down the control and just moving my mouse in. I'm going to move in while holding down control and click to place it down, and then type in 2 foot symbol and hit enter. That's really tricky. I'm going to do it again so you can watch it again. All right, so I'm going to undo that. Got my scale tool. Click on the middle green box. Okay, I clicked and let go of the mouse. So I'm just moving the mouse, but I don't have it clicked down. Hold the control key in. So now when you hold the control key, it moves in both sides. Okay, so move it in a little bit. Click with your mouse while I still have the control key held down. Type in, before you don't touch anything, don't move anything, type in 2 feet and enter. And it will move it 2 feet. I could probably, let's see if this works. Grab my tape measure tool. Click on one side, click on the other side, and it is 2 feet. Now I'm going to hit escape to get out of my clicking.
Something else, again, this depends on the information you have. I have center line references for all my openings here. They all go to the middle. If you have the ability or have plans that pull to the edge, it makes it so much easier, because if I know exactly where this corner is right here, I can come over that dimension and then I can just draw my rectangle down from there. Really speeds up input. But like I said, a lot of plans come dimension to the center, so you have to work with that. And in that case, copying an existing opening and resizing it is a quick way to do it. So that's a couple ideas that you can use when you're inputting doors and windows into your model. I know I didn't hit everything every way you could possibly do it. This is something that's worked for me. A couple tips in there, hopefully, that help you with doing the same process. If you have a better way of doing it, I would love to hear about it. Give me a comment down below.
All right, I'm gonna save this. So click on the folder and go to Save As. Save it into your Architect folder. The same thing we named the last one, except maybe put part 2. Okay. I'm going to close out this styles window, X that out. So click on the folder, go to export, click on PNG, and make sure I can see these 4 windows. So this window, this window, this window, and this window. We didn't cut this one out yet, but that's fine. Let's click on export as a PNG, click on continue if you need to. Make sure you know where to save it or where you're saving it to. And go to Canvas and upload your file. We'll do part 3, the last part for doors and windows, on the next lesson.